Greetings, Elder Blacklight, your motivator. Today's video entitled The Original Man's Adopted and Adapting to the Caucasian's Culture of Conflict. See, during this Black History Month, you're going to be talking about the accomplishment of black men and black, women after slavery or during slavery or before slavery, but during the period of the founding of America, see. So when the Caucasians talk about their troubles in keeping the Union together and all the conflicts, we don't never think of it, at least the black man don't, he don't never think of it as an antagonistic culture. And we adopted that antagonistic culture, and it's affecting our mental abilities and our emotions because we don't know our history before slavery, how our culture was, until the coming of Master Farad Muhammad, who informed us of our history. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad would touch on it going back 66 trillion years. Now they still wondering how those pyramids were formed, and the minds of those ancient ones, were far more superior than the minds of today, because we have been totally brainwashed and out of our minds. So let's get into this culture, what it's really about in 2021.
Good evening and welcome to Tucker Carlson Tonight. Happy Wednesday. On November 22nd, 1963, a man called Lee Harvey Oswald murdered the President of the United States. There were a lot of questions about what happened, but there was never any question about who Lee Harvey Oswald was. Oswald was a passionate and committed communist. In 1959, he gave up his American passport and defected to the Soviet Union. There, he married a Russian woman and lived in Minsk. 3 years later, he returned to this country and immediately began attending rallies in support of Fidel Castro, the communist leader of Cuba. In the fall of 1963, Oswald traveled to Mexico City and met with KGB agents there. A few months before, in Dallas, he tried to murder General Edwin Walker because Walker had given speeches attacking communism. So Lee Harvey Oswald never hid his politics, not for a moment. He talked incessantly about communism to anyone who would listen. And yet many Americans never really understood what Lee Harvey Oswald believed, and they didn't understand it because news outlets didn't tell them. Instead, almost immediately, the media began spinning a very different story. President Kennedy, they suggested, had been murdered by conservatives, possibly by conservatism itself, by hate, as they often put it. The explanation was never very precise, but the idea was always the same. Right-wingers killed Kennedy. The Soviet Union, naturally a suspect in this crime, was happy to agree with the assessment. As a Soviet spokesman put it, moral responsibility for the Kennedy assassination lay squarely with, quote, Barry Goldwater and other extremists on the right. In the end, the coordinated lying paid off. A year later, Senator Barry Goldwater lost to the incumbent Democrat Lyndon Johnson in a historically lopsided presidential election. By that point, many voters associated Goldwater with murder. As the decades passed, the media kept repeating this lie. By the 50th anniversary of the Kennedy assassination, the New Yorker magazine was still blaming, quote, anti-communism for the fact that an avowed communist had murdered the president. Just because it's absurd doesn't mean they won't say it with a straight face, and they do. By now, it's likely that most Americans believe that's exactly what happened, and why wouldn't they believe it? That's what they've been told. That point is worth ruminating on and remembering. History is a political tool. History is not simply a record of what happened. History is a way to shape the future. History is used to hurt some people and to help other people gain power. History.
Now that filters on down to the black community, the original man's culture here in America is just like the Caucasian. Even though he be talking black power, he be talking about power to the people, but it's a conflicting culture. Check it out.
Peace and black power, family. Let the controversy begin. It's only right that I invite my Hebrew Israelite brothers to tell their story. Now, I have a job to do, and I have viewed the video 4 to 5 times over and over again. And I have to say, who won the debate? Family. When you look at the video, round 1, Brother Polite and Q, the opening round, I give that round to Brother Polite, hands down. Therefore, I said it. And I'm quite sure a lot of you, when you look at the video, you will feel the same way. Round 2, I give that round to the Hebrew Israelite brothers, 1-1, hands down. And round 3, I have to give that round to the Kemetic squad. Therefore, Brother Polite and the Amon Ra squad have won that debate.